ideas and so forth. I'm not sure exactly who the audience for this will be. Kinti, would you just say something about that, or Professor Wen, about who we expect the audience to be, because I think that might have some relevance in what ideas to include.
But I think all of you who have been to international meetings and forums may be fed up with the idea of producing a statement at the end of it. And but then, when we organized this forum, we thought it may be a good means if we have a statement and then we give different views, so to see how far we have some sort of consensus on certain perspectives and approaches. And based on that, then we can also move on. And so the statement itself, we are sure that maybe if different people may write it in different ways. But then we thought we would give it a try, put in some of some ideas in it, so that it could be an instrument for us to see where we agree on and where we do not agree on. And the statement then later will be put on the website, so that maybe other people may debate with us or discuss or feel that if they would want to be part of this community. So that's the idea of the statement.
Thank you for that clarification. Who would like to start us off? And I think it would be very productive if everyone sort of kept your comments fairly concise, so that as many people as possible in this room will be able to get your ideas across to us. And also a reminder, please, to speak slowly so everyone can participate in this discussion.
Okay, thank you. I think the nature of this, the South-South Forum, as I'm trying to understand and realize, is to build up a relationship between academicians or the people at the level of the theoretical practice and the people who are more organizing, popular movement, popular resistance, or community level organizations. That is, I think, is very fundamental. So somehow it should be reflected in the statement as well. That's what the part of it. That's purpose of this. All of us to really come together. Secondly, I would suggest that it should be kind of an appeal to all the people in the South, also in the North, to participate with us to work for, I would say, a post-imperial, post-capitalist ecological civilization. So something we're really working with is that it can't be realized unless at the same time our political project or our imaginary project also become quite explicit and quite clear. Second point is this, I think that I would suggest, my suggestion would be, it's okay with me to have this human security in the, I think, the title, but the crisis is not about the human beings only. It's the crisis of all life forms around the world. I mean, all human relationship is around the world. Also, crisis the human faculties. Crisis, as you have just mentioned, discussing about. Crisis is the possibility, the capacity of the human imaginations. So this is something, is a serious crisis that we're really going through. So that should be, maybe we can drop the human security there, so make it more broad, so that implicitly it includes the crisis of all life forms, including the human beings, so that it doesn't become a call only to save the human beings, it's also save the all life forms, ecology, environments, or visible or invisible life forms, whatever it is. My next point is this, it has been written more of a economistic kind of paradigm. So it's more of a kind of a happy, more or less written from economic point of view, which is definitely, I agree. I mean, I think it's very important. And also, let's say, shifting, for example, the cost from the north to the south there is also differences between the cost which has been shifted in the colonial period and which has now been shifted in the capitalist period, and also the shifting which is taking place in the new labor period. So there is a certain quality difference in there. It's not necessary that it should be reflected there, but at least in one sentence somewhere it should be mentioned very clearly about the colonialism and the racisms and the people's resistance against those colonialism, racism, how South has resisted historically against those kind of shifting which really took place in there. And I have more point, but I don't take more time. But only one last point is this, is that while we are, giving due credit to the Occupy Wall Street, I think I have no problem on that. And I think at the same time, we are not giving due credit to the resistance that has been built up for all these years in the South. I mean, that has really been mentioned. So we are also becoming very unconsciously even Eurocentric or North-centric, because on the Arab Spring, as we have been discussing in the morning, or even in the Asian level, a lot of resistance going on at the community level. It's not that simply people in the New York is going to the Wall Street. It's important symbolically because that's challenging the financial equilibrium directly in that sense, but also in the structural adjustment period and whole ecological movement, environmental movements, and a movement against the big dams, in South Asian, the Asian level or around the world is very, very important form of the resistance. That has to be acknowledged somehow in the document. Otherwise, it will look very North-centric. Otherwise, I think I am very much for this kind of statement, partly because that's a kind of, it's not because how it is going to be very useful, it's going to bind the people who are already in here. It's a kind of a binding sort of thing that you can refer back to and also cherish the few days we spent together. Thank you very much.
Jorge?
Bueno, muchas gracias. Mira, a mí me gustaría resaltar el elemento de resistencia, como que el documento tuviera esta orientación de apoyar los procesos de resistencia al servicio de la construcción de un nuevo paradigma, como más bien que en el sentido de que el análisis más global fuera más como un contexto en el que se mueven estos procesos y invitarnos para atrevernos a construir este nuevo paradigma, una idea de una alternativa al modelo neoliberal. Y yo creo que fundamentalmente en este nuevo paradigma hay que partir de un elemento fundamental que es el respeto. Yo considero que el respeto a la naturaleza, el respeto a la madre tierra, el respeto a nosotros mismos, a nosotras mismas, a nuestros cuerpos, a nuestra vida, a nuestro destino, es fundamental como para decir que esto ya es parte de un nuevo paradigma. Y también la armonía entre estos elementos y la solidaridad como construida, como proceso de construcción. Y en ese sentido valorar la ética, es decir, el documento implica de alguna manera una ética libertaria, una ética de búsqueda de transformaciones que no van a terminar, pero que sí tenemos que tener un horizonte de sociedades justas, de sociedades que pueden ser igualitarias, que buscan caminos nuevos. Y en ese sentido yo aprecio mucho lo que pude observar de las exposiciones que vinieron de estudiantes y trabajadores, compañeros de China, porque nos mostraron que sí, en medio de esta configuración de una opción del gobierno chino de entrar en esta dinámica del neoliberal, están surgiendo precisamente la búsqueda de los lugares donde se crece la esperanza y se recupera la fuerza y la identidad de los pueblos. Pero que esto, diríamos, no es solo en China, sino es en todo el mundo. ¿Y cómo hacer para que el mapa que nos convoca sea precisamente el mapa de estos lugares de transformación que están presentes en todos los lugares?
My point is very, very simple. I agree with Farhan. In the fourth paragraph, the South witnesses that the direct cause for the serious deterioration of human security is the global debt crisis. It seems to me very strongly that in stressing this paragraph and this idea, the question of alternative to what is clearly raised. Well, alternative to what must begin the statement strategically. And I would also note that we are the 99% is a very local response to one local instantiation of this crisis. It is the American global crisis, right? And the Americans we're beginning to respond to this crisis. So I believe that this notion of the 99% should be migrated up into this fourth paragraph, and several more sentences on the global or U.S. debt crisis should be added.
Yeah, I think as in the declaration or whatever, we have to set the term first. Whether it's appeal, yes, appeal for a reform, or resistance, or revolution, or challenge, or enlightenment, whatever, we have to set the term first. That actually concerns the sentence or terms, because this morning's I think one mentioned some. If you just speak from the national stand, because some participants are from the north, but they support the idea of the south. So we have to carefully to select the terms. And also for, I think, last time I visited Zambia, I talked with a Zambia friend. I said, you should take some lessons from China's development. So we consume so much energy and resource. And he said, oh, we have to take care of our stomach first. So sometimes, this issue, and there is even a kind of conspiracy theory, probably, the North just want to sell the high-tech environmental protection techniques to the South. So exaggerate the environment issues. So we really have to balance this development and environment. This contradict, this two factors, and also the internal. Why I last time I emphasized the internal factor, because even in China, we talk about a socialist movement, a global socialist movement here, but even in China, there are some interest groups. So they definitely they won't join this So I emphasize the internal factors. This is another issue. And also the grassroots social movement and the ruling bureaucracy, how to establish the dialogue. Because I think there were Latin America and some African states and China, we have different kind of political system. Some, the dialogue is applicable, some may not. So how to establish this is another. And finally, the knowledge production and mass action. This is, I think, one of the most significant what we are talking about, especially from some Chinese youngsters, university students, their movement in the rural areas. And also this brings us to the rural dynamics and urban transformation. Because, all right, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Obrigado. Vou falar em português. Sob meu ponto de vista, penso que o documento das páginas 24 e 25 poderia ser mais contundente naquilo que é fundamental na sociedade capitalista, que é a propriedade privada da terra, dos recursos naturais e do capital. Penso que poderíamos acá ser mais explícitos, mais contundentes numa crítica à questão da propriedade privada. Penso que, sob meu ponto de vista, se isso fosse incorporado ao documento, né, me agradaria.
Anyone else over here?
I just got information from the delegates of UNDP China, because there's a social forum sponsored by UNDP China. So he mentioned that the security may be replaced by safety, and also she mentioned that UNDP are not applied to appoint any single country. I mean, if we have some comments to the trends, that is okay. But we don't need to appoint any country in this statement. Thank you.
Thanks, Margo. I have two small comments. One is maybe self-reliance could be a fourth S if the House agrees, since we've raised that as one of our values in which we oppose a sort of pure export-led neoliberal model. So self-reliance is one of the traditions of progressive political economy, maybe as a fourth S. The second comment is the use of the word South, because we use global South, and I hope we all understand that to mean the activists in the ghettos, say, of Oakland, fighting for justice, where Margo knows so well, or the occupiers, or the indignados of Spain, or the Greeks and Italians and Irish, as well as a traditional South. And if we do, then just a slight change of wording would be good, so that we identify the elites of the North financially bailing out their banks as a source of the public debt. Because as it's worded, there may be an interpretation in the second or third paragraph that somehow structural adjustment is needed in the North against the indignados, against the occupiers. I just hope we can be flexible with that language. I can email some ideas about changing just slightly so Global South is understood to include the 99% in all of these countries fighting financial capital and neo-fascist states.
Also maybe just to add to your point, and sort of, at least in the West, the self, it gets to be defined as an individual self. So just kind of clarifying what we mean by self, that is more of a collectivist self, etc. But I think that kind of self-determination, again, the use of self is, we need to complicate it, but that would be great. Maria?
Gracias. Solo una pequeña sugerencia es que cuando decimos que hay que hacer declaraciones más fuertes o más contundentes, como lo que nos sugería Rogerio en Po-keung, es que yo creo que le ayudaríamos mucho a quienes ya hicieron un gran esfuerzo con este documento si hacemos propuestas concretas de dónde y cómo hacer énfasis en lo que queremos que se diga y cómo decirlo. O sea, algo un poco como lo que hizo Tani, de decir en el segundo párrafo hay que poner unas palabras sobre esto de los 99% y los indignados. Y de esta forma ayudamos, porque simplemente decirles que sean más contundentes, creo que los ponemos en serios problemas y ya después de haber hecho el documento les cuesta más trabajo. Entonces solamente como que seamos más concretos en lo que pedimos, ofreciendo palabras que queremos que se usen y expresiones que deseamos que sean dichas para poder arreglarlo, como que nos identifiquemos con él.
其實喺個會議裏邊，其實講咗好多經濟上面嘢嘅都。咁我覺得譬如而家本身喺個北方問題就係關於我觉得现在最大的问题是这个金融机构的问题嘛，这就是这个发债的问题。我想在这个会议里面已经说了很多关于这方面的问题，是不是我们这个宣言里面需要对这种发债的金融模式去树一个拒绝他们这种方式的一个态度。以后之后，我们怎样去建立另外一个新的金融制度，是我们需要关注的方向。所以地区的一些小的经济规模是很重要的。我们如何将这个大的全球性的经济环境转变为一个地区的经济体系，是一个很重要的过程来。这样就是改变这个经济的节奏，然后就是我们谈了很多关于投地的问题，就是如何在地区层面里面再去保入农业或者再发展农业的一个过程。我想这三个方向是比较重要的一些问题。
In English. I'm going in 2 hours to Barcelona, and thank you very much to give me the opportunity to share with you these special days. I learn a lot, and I want to share exactly 2 sentences that these days I try to make a synthesis. One is how, or our challenge is how to improve a sustainable prosperity for all without consumerism and without opulence. This is one of the reflections this day during the journey in the Chongqing. And the second one is inspired by this professor yesterday when he said food for money or food for life. And these 2 options, this morning I suggest also a synthesis is like this: food for life with money